If you own a home in the UK and you're thinking of altering its layout or building a house extension, I have 5 design ideas you should consider. Some are easy to incorporate, but others are complex and potentially expensive. My name is Neil and this is Real Life Architecture. I make videos about altering, extending, renovating and building homes in the UK. I've run my own architecture practice in Edinburgh since 2009 and I specialise in private homes. Over the years, I've seen interior design trends come and go, so this video is more about changing the layout of your home to create spaces that work for the long term. The first 4 design ideas are good ones that I use in my own projects, but I'm not a fan of the last one. It's something lots of people ask me about during online consultations, but it's seldom feasible, costs a lot and has limited value. Watch to the end to check that one out and tell me if you disagree. Let's get started. Redesigning the entrance to the house. Any well-designed home should have a clear split between public and private spaces. Do you really want a guest to walk past bathrooms and bedrooms to get to the main living area? Lots of clients come to me saying their homes don't flow properly, but they haven't got the budget for a house extension, so what should they do? Well, while everyone's house is different, let's assume the kitchen and dining area is the most important space in your home. It's the centre of family life, where you spend most of your time, or at least it could be if it were designed properly. Now, no amount of smart storage solutions, expensive appliances or worktops will fix this if the kitchen is in the wrong place. That is, the wrong place in relation to the main door of the house. Another way to look at this is what I call the Tesco test. If you come home from the shops carrying bags of groceries, how many doors do you have to pass through before getting to the kitchen? The solution is either to move the kitchen close to the existing entrance or to change the entrance so it's closer to the existing kitchen. This is one example where the existing house had a small, cramped entrance porch. I moved the entrance so that it entered the kitchen and then I changed the internal layout to make that kitchen and dining space much larger. If you are redesigning the entrance to your house, it's a good opportunity to incorporate features that make it better. For example, so many homes in the UK don't have any shelter at their front door. Maybe it's just me, but standing in the rain late at night trying to find the keys is one of life's perpetual irritations, and it could be avoided with a little shelter. Either cantilever a roof over the door, or the more expensive option, recess the doorway into the front wall. It's also a good idea to incorporate parcel storage at the front door, so that delivery drivers can leave packages in a secure location when you aren't home. This is more common in apartment blocks, but I think it also makes sense for houses. I got a lot of negative comments in previous videos for suggesting that entrance doors could open straight into a living space. Now, there's nothing against this in the building regulations. If your home is less than 3 stories tall, it's usually possible to have stairs within an open plan space, rather than a hallway. However, vestibules are very useful. They are an intermediate space between inside and outside, a place to hang coats and take off shoes. The problem is that many UK homes, including new builds, don't have enough space for that activity. If you are redesigning the entrance to your home, you want a vestibule the right size for the entire family to use simultaneously. I suggest marking the floor in your living room with masking tape to see how much space it takes for everyone in your family to get in and out of coats and boots together at the same time. I'm willing to bet most families need more space than they currently have. Making a vestibule bigger can be a problem if you don't have the space and you can't change the location of the front door. In many homes, the biggest obstacle will be the stairs. I know this is radical, but if your home is large enough and you are planning to significantly change its layout, then you might also consider moving the stairs. I did exactly this in a large Georgian villa last year. The house had once been split into 2 flats, and when it was recombined in the 1990s, the owners built mediocre stairs at the back of this dark hallway. The new owners wanted to reimagine how the house flowed, so we created a new, much grander stairs leading from this brilliant entrance down to the kitchen. The previous stairs were ripped out and that hallway became an extra bedroom. The new stairwell is flooded with natural light and the house now flows properly. As I said, this option isn't feasible in most homes, but if you start by thinking where your entrance is and how that leads to the kitchen, you will be on the right track. Once you have planned that, the next thing to think about is future-proofing the house. The majority of people who contact me to discuss altering their homes will have aspirations that cost more than their budget. This is a normal part of most projects. Very few people have the ability to spend whatever it takes, and even those who do will be cautious about exceeding the equity value of their home. Because of this, lots of my projects involve planning work in stages. We might alter the internal layout this year, but we have a plan to build a house extension 5 years later once the client has the budget to afford it. If you are thinking about doing this, there are a couple of things to keep in mind. First off, you need to have a fully worked out design for the entire project right from the start. Do not assume you can just figure it out later. It's possible that you could make a decision now that will make it much harder to do work in the future. Always start off with a full design for the finished house, even if that work will take many years to complete. Once you have that design, you can split it into stages, but you need to accept that it will cost more in the long run, because it's always more efficient to do construction work in one go. Part of this is down to inflation, because costs increase over time, but it also has to do with mobilization. It costs the builder money to set up and start working on your home, and doing it twice is inefficient. That said, if you own a home with 2 or more stories and you are planning work in phases, there is something I strongly urge you to build in phase 1, and that's a service riser. This is a false wall running the full height of the house to carry all the pipes, wires and drains. This one is from a 4-story townhouse in Edinburgh. Just look at the number of pipes required to serve that property. The new stairs I showed you earlier had a service riser on each side. They carry pipes for the heating, as well as hot and cold supply pipes for the bathrooms, utilities and kitchen. They also carry drainage pipes for toilets, flues for mechanical extractors, as well as gas to the boiler on the top floor. Let's imagine you are planning a 2-stage project for your home. Stage 1 involves altering the ground floor and maybe adding an extension to the rear. A few years later, you might want to change the upstairs floors, maybe adding more bathrooms, en-suites, or even a utility upstairs. These have become a popular feature in taller homes. It makes sense to have the washing machine and dryer next to the bedrooms where the laundry is generated. Rather than carrying heavy loads up and down the stairs, the laundry can be cleaned and dried on the same floor. I've done this on a few projects and have several more on the drawing board. It's a good idea, but top tip, install a shower tray under the washing machine to drain the water away in case it leaks. If you are planning to add wet rooms to the upper floors at a later date, you absolutely should install a service riser in the first stage of the work. That will allow you to plug in new bathrooms, radiators, extractors and electrics in stage 2. If you do own a multi-story home like a townhouse, it's also a good idea to have the boiler and hot water cylinder on the top floor. A 300-litre tank like this takes up a surprising amount of space, but having it at the top of the house allows it to feed multiple showers and bathrooms simultaneously just using gravity. Drains, heating pipes, extractor flues, gas pipes, electric wires and Cat6 cables might be mundane, but do not underestimate how much space these things take up. Plan to build at least 1 service riser into your home, but ideally 2, 1 on each side of the building. You might not fill it all now, but having the extra space makes it much easier to adapt the house in the future, creating better spaces from existing rooms. If you are thinking about making changes to your home, you need to understand the difference between creating more space and creating better space. Adding a house extension just for the sake of it can be an expensive mistake. I've lost count of the number of homes I had to redesign because the previous owners made a bad layout worse just by adding more space. Quite often, when homeowners think they need another room, it's because they aren't using existing rooms to their full potential, and adding a box in the back of the house won't solve the problem. That said, sometimes an extension can help unlock the layout of the home, but only if the existing house is reimagined. You have to be able to think of the existing house and the new extension together holistically, because when you create a new extension, there will usually be an opportunity to reimagine existing rooms in the house. These days, I keep seeing the same 3 issues: second living rooms, home offices, and future bedrooms on the ground floor. I could make a full video on each of these, but the basic idea goes like this. You build a new extension to the rear of your house to create more kitchen, dining or living space at the back. But your home already had a front room, and it might be underutilized if there isn't a clear plan for the whole house. The most obvious use for an existing living room is to continue as a second living room. This is especially true if the new extension is an open plan living space. Over the years, I've found there is no one-size-fits-all way to design an open-plan living space. Parents with young children love being in the same space as them, but I've found that parents of teenagers regularly ask for a second living space, often with a lock on the door, and it's not always clear who the lock is for. I often see homeowners planning to use a bedroom as a home office. Now, I've worked from home for 17 years, take it from me, a bedroom won't work long term. The way I see it is if your job pays the mortgage, then the space you work in should reflect its importance. Besides, at the end of the day, you also need to be able to walk away and close the door on your work. That front room could be a great home office, and if the work you do is paying for the new open plan extension at the back of the house, then you deserve that space. Finally, lots of people are now thinking about the long term. They are planning to accommodate their elderly parents, and they are also thinking about their own old age. In many homes with upper floors and a formal front room, it is becoming increasingly common to plan for the front room to become a bedroom with an ensuite bathroom. During the work to create the extension or build the service risers I mentioned earlier, we install plumbing and drainage in the floor. We don't create the ensuite right away, but everything we need to do the work is in place for the future. I've met numerous clients with teenage children who envisage them leaving home and maybe having children of their own one day. By that time, my clients will be older and might not be able to climb the stairs as often, so they build the ensuite bathroom and turn that front room into the principal bedroom. The adult children and grandchildren stay in the upper floors when they come to visit, and my clients live downstairs most of the time. Thinking like this can help make the house future-proof, while sticking an extension on the back won't be effective unless the entire house is considered as a single unit. Getting more from the rear garden. If you are planning a house extension in your rear garden, one feature I think you should incorporate is a sheltered deck. I do most of my work in Edinburgh, which isn't known for its warm, sunny climate, but I've built several sheltered decks and my clients love them. Spanning the roof over the new patio doors creates an intermediate space, not fully inside, but not quite outside either. This shelters the patio doors and allows them to be open more often, bringing the outside in. Several of my former clients tell me how they now sit outside on days where the weather is less than perfect, and they enjoy their gardens more as a result. If you aren't outdoorsy, but you might like to be more outsidesy, then a sheltered deck is the way to go. I usually span the roof at least 1.5 meters beyond the extension, but the depth of the span should always be considered with the height of the roof. The taller the building, the further the roof needs to span to provide effective shade and shelter. Doing this can also give an extension depth and definition, making it look less boxy. A square extension can be made to look more rectangular by spanning the roof beyond the building. The cost to create a span like this will vary depending on the design, but in my experience, it is usually a marginal extra, and it makes all the difference. One feature that isn't a marginal cost and that I don't think will make a difference is removing chimneys to make more space. Over the past few years, a surprising number of clients for my online consultation service have raised this with me. They have homes that are small, and every square inch counts, so I can see where they're coming from. They have older properties with fireplaces in each bedroom. These fireplaces are set into a chimney breast, and that feature takes up space. They want to know what it will take to remove that chimney breast. I should say up front, this is technically feasible, and there are two ways of doing it. You could demolish that chimney brick by brick right down to the ground floor. You could also leave the chimney in place above the roof and prop it using a steel beam, then remove all the chimney breasts underneath. The first option, to remove the chimney entirely, is not feasible if your house is attached to someone else's property, and that chimney is on the party wall. Leaving aside issues with party wall notices, from a practical standpoint, half the chimney belongs to your neighbours, and those bricks are interlocked. There are chimney flue pipes in there, and if you only remove your half of the chimney, it's likely the remaining half will fail in some way. You could reach an agreement with your neighbours to take all the chimneys down below the roof, and then close up the hole in the roof with new slates or tiles. You might even be able to prop the chimney stack using steel and then remove the rest of the structure below the roof. As with so many things that are technically feasible, the problem isn't doing the work. It's working out whether the cost is worth it. Neither of the options I mentioned here are cheap. For a typical 2-story semi-detached house in the UK, this work would cost several tens of thousands of pounds. All that just to gain less than half a square metre of space per room? I just don't see that being value for money in most homes. If you have done this in your home, let me know in the comments if it was worth it. Those are my top 5 tips for renovating or extending a house in the UK. Remember, if you want to talk about work to a home anywhere in the UK, you can book an online consultation with me through the Real Life Architecture website. There's a link in the description if you want to learn more. And please read the terms and conditions before you book. My name is Neil, and I make videos about the reality of altering, extending, renovating and building homes in the UK. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to keep up to date.